Have you ever noticed that the people who talk the most are rarely the people who command the most respect? In today's world, everyone is trying to be heard. Everyone wants to share their opinion. Everyone wants attention. But the people who truly stand out often do something completely different. They stay quiet. They listen more than they speak. And somehow, when they finally say something, everyone pays attention. Most people think silence is weakness. They think if you're not constantly talking, defending yourself, or explaining your every move, people will overlook you. But the Stoics understood a truth that most people never discover. Silence is not weakness. Silence is power. And once you understand why, you'll never look at communication the same way again. The truth is that every time you speak, you reveal something about yourself, your emotions, your plans, your insecurities, your fears. The more you talk, the more opportunities you give people to judge you, misunderstand you, or use your words against you. But when you learn to stay silent at the right moments, something incredible happens. You gain control. You stop reacting emotionally. You start observing. You begin to see things that other people miss. And that's exactly why some of the wisest people in history mastered the art of silence. Because they knew that not every thought deserves to become words. Not every criticism deserves a response. Not every battle deserves your energy. Stay with me until the end of this video, because what you're about to learn could completely change the way you handle conflict, relationships, success, and even your own mind. And if you're someone who wants to develop true mental strength and master the timeless wisdom of Stoicism, take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel, because the lesson you're about to hear might save you years of frustration, regret, and wasted energy. Now let's discover the hidden power of silence that most people spend their entire lives misunderstanding. One of the biggest mistakes people make is believing they need to respond to everything. Someone criticizes them, and they immediately defend themselves. Someone doubts them, and they rush to prove them wrong. Someone insults them, and they feel compelled to fight back. But have you ever noticed what happens when you refuse to react? The other person often loses power over you. Marcus Aurelius understood this deeply. He knew that other people's words only have as much power as you allow them to have. The moment you stop reacting to every opinion, every insult, and every piece of negativity, you become incredibly difficult to control. And that's something most people never achieve. Think about the strongest person you've ever met. Were they constantly arguing? Constantly explaining themselves? Constantly seeking approval? Probably not. Truly strong people don't feel the need to win every argument because they understand something important. Not every misunderstanding needs correction. Not every accusation needs defense. Not every opinion deserves attention. Silence allows you to protect your energy from people who would gladly waste it. But silence isn't only about dealing with others. It's also about dealing with yourself. Most people are afraid of silence because silence forces them to sit alone with their thoughts. That's why they constantly seek distractions, social media, endless entertainment, constant noise, anything to avoid being alone with themselves. Yet the Stoics believe that self-mastery begins in silence, because when the noise disappears, you finally hear what's happening inside your own mind. You become aware of your fears, your weaknesses, your habits, your excuses. And while that can be uncomfortable, it's also where growth begins. The person who can sit quietly with their thoughts gains an advantage over the person who constantly runs from them. This is why silence is so powerful in relationships as well. When you're always talking, people stop listening. But when your words become rare, they become valuable. Have you ever noticed how some people can say a single sentence and completely change the atmosphere of a room? It's not because they're louder. It's because their words carry weight. And their words carry weight because they don't waste them. They listen carefully. They observe carefully. Then when they finally speak, people know it matters. In a world full of noise, silence creates presence, and presence creates influence. But perhaps the greatest power of silence appears when you're pursuing success. Most people announce every goal before they've achieved anything. They tell everyone what they're going to do. They seek validation before they've earned results. For a moment, the praise feels good, but then something strange happens. Their motivation starts to disappear. The Stoics would advise the opposite. Work quietly, improve quietly, build quietly. Let your results speak louder than your promises. Because when you stop talking about what you're going to do and start focusing on what you're actually doing, progress accelerates. And the people who doubted you suddenly have nothing left to argue with. And what we're about to discuss next is perhaps the most surprising part of all. The reason why silence can make you appear more confident, more respected, and more powerful without saying a single extra word. Here's something most people never realize. Confidence is often mistaken for talking. We assume the most confident person is the one who speaks the loudest, dominates every conversation, and always has something to say. But real confidence looks very different. Real confidence doesn't need constant validation. It doesn't need to prove itself every 5 minutes. It doesn't need to convince everyone in the room. A truly confident person is comfortable with silence because they aren't worried about how they're being perceived. They don't feel pressure to fill every quiet moment. They know their value doesn't come from attention. It comes from character. Think about a lion for a moment. It doesn't walk through the jungle announcing its strength. It doesn't need permission to be powerful. Its presence alone is enough. Human beings aren't much different. The people who constantly seek attention often do so because they're trying to fill an inner insecurity. But the person who is secure within themselves doesn't need to perform. They don't need to explain why they're worthy. They simply are. And people can feel that energy. This is one of the reasons silence often commands respect. When someone attacks you and you remain calm, people notice. When someone tries to provoke you, and you refuse to react emotionally, people notice. When everyone else is panicking and you're thinking clearly, people notice. Silence sends a message without speaking a word. It says, I control my emotions. I control my reactions. I decide what deserves my attention. And that level of self-control is incredibly rare. Seneca once taught that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Think about how many problems are created simply because people react too quickly. They send angry messages they later regret. They start arguments that never needed to happen. They reveal emotions that should have been processed first. A few moments of silence could have prevented countless mistakes. That's why silence isn't passive. It's strategic. It creates space between emotion and action. And in that space, wisdom can enter. The modern world is designed to make silence difficult. Every app wants your attention. Every notification wants your reaction. Every controversy wants your opinion. But the Stoics would ask a simple question. Does this deserve your energy? Most of the time, the answer is no. The more selective you become with your attention, the more powerful your life becomes. Because your attention is one of your most valuable resources. Once it's wasted, you never get it back. And this leads us to the final and most important Stoic lesson about silence. The lesson that transforms silence from a simple habit into a life-changing superpower. The final Stoic lesson about silence is this. Silence is not about saying nothing. It's about saying only what truly matters. Many people hear the word silence and imagine becoming passive, distant, or invisible. But that's not what the Stoics taught. They weren't telling you to hide from the world. They were teaching you to stop wasting your energy on things that don't deserve it. There is a huge difference between being silent because you're afraid and being silent because you're in control. One comes from weakness. The other comes from strength. Imagine two people facing the same criticism. The first person immediately becomes defensive. They argue, explain, and try to change everyone's opinion. The second person listens, considers whether the criticism contains any truth, learns from it if necessary, and then moves on. Which person has more peace? Which person has more control? Which person is more likely to grow? The answer is obvious. Silence gives you the ability to pause before reacting, and that pause can completely change the direction of your life. The truth is that most problems don't require an immediate response. Most arguments don't deserve your participation. Most opinions don't deserve your attention. Yet people spend years exhausting themselves fighting battles that never needed to be fought. They give away their peace one reaction at a time. The Stoics understood that protecting your inner peace is one of the most important responsibilities you have. And silence is one of the strongest tools for doing exactly that. So how do you apply this in your daily life? Start simple. The next time someone provokes you, pause before responding. The next time you feel the urge to explain yourself to someone who has already decided not to understand you, pause. The next time you want to announce your goals to the world, pause. Ask yourself a simple question. Will speaking improve this situation? Or am I speaking only because my emotions want me to? That single question can save you from countless regrets. Learn to listen more than you speak. Observe more than you react. Think more than you argue. And when you do speak, Make your words intentional. Let them carry meaning. Let them carry wisdom. Let them carry purpose. Over time, people will begin to notice something different about you. They won't always know what it is. They'll simply feel that you're calmer, stronger, and more confident. That's the quiet power of self-control. Remember, silence doesn't mean allowing people to walk over you. It doesn't mean avoiding necessary conversations. It doesn't mean suppressing your voice. It means choosing your moments carefully. It means refusing to waste your energy on meaningless noise. It means understanding that your attention is valuable, and your peace is worth protecting. Marcus Aurelius spent much of his life surrounded by chaos, conflict, and pressure. Yet he constantly returned to the same principle: focus on what is within your control. Your words are within your control. Your reactions are within your control. Your attention is within your control. And the more you master these things, the more powerful your life becomes. In a world where everyone is shouting to be noticed, the person who masters silence gains a rare advantage. While others react, you observe. While others argue, you understand. While others seek attention, you build strength. And while others waste their energy trying to control the outside world, you focus on mastering the world within. That is the power of silence most people never understand. It's not about being quiet. It's about being in control. And when you learn that skill, you stop giving your power away to every opinion, every insult, every distraction, and every unnecessary battle. You become calmer. You become wiser. You become stronger. And most importantly, you find a level of peace that noisy people spend their entire lives searching for. Because sometimes the strongest statement you can make is saying nothing at all. Before you go, I want you to do something most people will never do. Take a moment and ask yourself this question: when was the last time my silence protected my peace? Not the silence of fear, not the silence of weakness, the silence of self-control, the silence of wisdom, the silence of strength. If this video changed the way you think about silence, then don't just watch and leave. Let this be the moment you make a decision. Comment below, I choose silence. Because every time you type those words, you're reminding yourself that you no longer need to react to everything, argue with everyone, or prove yourself to people who don't matter. And if you're serious about becoming calmer, wiser, and mentally stronger than 99% of people, then hit the like button and subscribe right now. Every week, this channel shares powerful Stoic lessons that help you master your mind, protect your peace, and build unshakable confidence in a world full of noise. Remember, weak people react, average people argue, wise people observe, powerful people choose their moments. So if you're ready to become one of them, subscribe now and join this growing community of future Stoics. And until the next video, stay calm, stay disciplined, stay silent when silence is power.